What's up, y'all? I am WIGSLY, and as always, I am damn glad to have you here. On this channel, we ride and talk about motorcycles, mostly Harley-Davidson motorcycles. You saw the thumbnail, you saw the title, and you said, this is clickbait bullshit. And not entirely. We're going to get to that. First of all, if you're not aware of the Harley Sportster's status as Americana icon, let's go over it very briefly. The Harley Sportster is the longest running production motorcycle, being made continuously from 1957. It had two precursors, the K model and the Solo Sport, which ran from 52 to 56. Those were side valve designs. The modern Sportster, as we know it, in all three iterations, is going to be an overhead valve design. There have been two motors on the Harley Sportster. From 57 to 85, it was the iron head. From 86 forward, it's the Evo or the blockhead motor. And in 2004, they took that Evo motor and turned it EFI instead of carbed. It's been ridden in countless television and movie series. It's graced magazine covers, Instagram. Every thought on the planet that's ever posed on a motorcycle has either posed as a Gixxer or a Sporty at some point. So as far as the cruiser world goes, we know it's kind of the standard entry level for American made. And every Japanese brand and European brand that makes cruiser motorcycles bases their mid-small frame bike off of the Harley Sportster and offers it at a lower price for what a lot of people would argue is a lower quality, but usually a higher performance, which is a whole nother conversation that I'll leave for another day. Basically, if you grew up around cruiser motorcycles and your grandpa, your dad, your uncles were cool, they had Harleys in the garage. The same way that an American muscle car like the Mustang or the Camaro was a mainstay in most American garages if motors were your family's thing. All right, we got that out of the way. Everybody knows what the Harley Sportster is. If you're here, you know what a Harley Sportster is. I just kind of wanted to set the tone that we all understand, we're all on the same page. The Harley Sportster is a standard mainstay of motorcycles for the last 63 years in America. If you're a Harley guy, odds are good you started on a Sportster. So I'm on a live stream the other night on my buddy Mick's motorcycle channel, the Motorcycle Mick. I'm going to leave a link down below for his channel. You can go and check out that episode. We were talking about kind of what Harley does. We were bouncing ideas back and forth with our personal Texas toast, Jonny Roadblock. Shout out to Johnny. Johnny hosts Between Two Wheels, which is a podcast and a live stream. I will leave links to those things down below as well. And we were surfing and randomly realized that on Harley's website, the Sportster is no longer listed as the Sportster. So this is Harley-Davidson's main home page right now that we're looking at. And you can see that there are 5 different categories here: street, electric, cruiser, touring, trike. And obviously the live wire is going to be under the electric here. Cruiser is going to be the Softail line, the M8 non-tourings. Then there's the touring, then there's the trike. So what's the street? Yep. So we click on here. And we're going to see the Street 750, the Street 500's gone, good riddance. It's a lowbrow version of the Street 750. It's 2/3 of not even the small Sportster engine. So good riddance to the 500. I don't like the Street. I think they're silly. It's still here, though. Now here's the Street Rod. This is the slightly more expensive but modern looking and apparently higher performing version of the Street. It's still a 750. Now here are our 4 Sportsters: the Iron 883, the Iron 1200, the 48, which is going to be your fat front tire Sportster for those of you who aren't up to date, and really cool to see the Roadster's back. So the Sportsters are here, but show me on the top of this page where it says Sportster. No, it says Street, and the top, I guess you'd call this a banner across the top of the page, shows the Street Rod, and I'll give them, it's the cool paint job. It's the cooler of the two not cool bikes, but this is a push for the street. Now, let me show you this. Let's go down to a Sportster. Look at what this says. This says Street 2020 Iron 883. And as I go down, I actually don't see anything that says Sportster. Okay. Let's try that on the next one. Okay, so we're at the Iron 1200. That is the Street 2020 Iron 1200. And it goes on. Now, out of fairness, I made sure to do a little more Googling than just that. So, 2020 Sportster motorcycles. Okay, if you Google Harley Sportster, harley-davidson.com comes up as the first Google result, and it says 2020 Sportster models. Now, if we click this link, the Great American Freedom Machine, this says Sportster motorcycles at the top. It shows two Sportsters, the Iron 1200 and what looks like the Iron 883, right up top in the banner. And we got our models here, the Iron 883, the 1200, the 48, and the Roadster. Now, if we click one of these, it does take us back to that same listing page for the Iron 883, which says Street 2020 Iron 883. This bike's not called Sportster. They left a link so that when you Google Harley Sportster, it takes you to a page that says Harley Sportsters. But this bike is not called a Harley Sportster. And you'll notice that on the gas tank, it says Harley-Davidson. It does not say Harley Sportster. If we go here, Harley-Davidson does not say Sportster. I'm going to go through it, guys. Stick with me. Harley-Davidson does not say Sportster. And let's go to the Roadster. Harley-Davidson XL 1200. Now, the air cleaner says Roadster. And this bike's called the Roadster. But nowhere on those bikes do I see anything that says Sportster. I think this is a slow move away from the Sportster name. We know that the Street lineup has a different engine in it. It's a Revolution engine. It's better. It's designed kind of off the old V-Rod, but it's a 750. They had it in a throwaway 500. And the new engines that are going in the Pan America and the Bronx, they are 900 and 1200 versions of that new motor. We knew forever, everybody's been saying it on YouTube forever, that we're getting a new Sportster. They're going to kill the Sportster. It won't be an Evo anymore. And duh. And whatever. And I really don't care about that. That's fine by me. The Evo's been around since 86. That's a year longer than me, which means that engine's on 34 years. Show me an engine in another vehicle that's ever been made that's been put into the same frame with the same motor for 34 years. You can't do it because it doesn't exist. And at a certain point, Harley's engineers need to justify their job. And you can't fit more performance without doing like a stage 4 kit, which defeats the purpose of buying a Harley, kinda, is that you do that stuff yourself. They leave the performance there on the table for you. That's a different discussion, but I think that what this is the opposite of what they should be doing. They should be getting rid of those street and street rod models and putting the 900 and 1200 engines into a new Sportster frame, keeping the iconic Sportster look, the iconic Sportster name, and just calling it a rebirth of the Sportster. Whatever. It's liquid cooled. It's going to be. See, these bikes they're selling here still have Evos. And I'm not 100% sure that I get it. Why they'd be bringing out the whole new platform, the engine platform, and have it ready to fit a Sportster size frame and not get the new Sportster frame ready, I don't know. That's a weird step. But this makes no sense. This is gross negligence. This is clearly the first step in many steps to get rid of the Sportster name from Harley-Davidson. Essentially, before the Todds go crazy in the comments and think that I'm going down a conspiracy rabbit hole, here's what I'm saying to you. The Sportster will always be there, but it won't always be called the Sportster. And that's the bummer to me. What I'm saying is that in 10 years, when you take your young neighbor, your son, your uncle, you wouldn't take your uncle. You would take your nephew. You're the uncle. Don't be a weird uncle. Be a cool uncle. Give your nephew an old Sportster. Don't take your nephew to buy a 2030 Harley Street 900. That's what it's going to be. And I think they're going to make it fugly. And I think we're all going to be really disappointed. And I think they're going to change the name just so they can go, well, we didn't fuck up the Sportster. And I'm going to give them credit there. If that's what they do, then they can kill the Sportster and have the Sportster remain intact. Because if they put out a Sportster that looks like the Harley Street, I will throw up. And so I'm half and half here. I'm kind of bummed that Sportster doesn't appear on Harley's website unless you go through a backdoor through Google. And not to sound conspiracy theory, we saw that's what it is. Yeah, I just will be glad when they release something that I hate in place of the Sportster. I'll be glad they didn't fuck up the icon that is the Sportster. And I'll also be glad to have 2 collector's items. I have a Sportster that's essentially stock. It's got like slip-on muffs. Find me another 30-year-old Sportster that nobody's customized the shit out of. I'm going to hold on to that. And the price tag on it just went up, if I'm right. I think that next year we see one more step. I think the 2020s, this was Harley tried to sneak it. And I don't know if maybe it's nothing, which it could be. Or if we caught it and no one else did, and this is one move in a long process. While I've got you here, I am selling t-shirts. They have the WIGSLY logo on the front, and they say, wear a fucking helmet on the back in my handwriting. All proceeds go to benefit a good friend of mine, Joe, who got in a terrible crash without a helmet and is lucky to be alive and is doing much, much better. And thank you so much from me and from Joe and Joe's family for everybody who's already ordered a shirt or anybody that orders a shirt. The link is in the description down below to Teespring, where you can order one of these shirts. $5 from every sale, which is 100% of the profit from each sale, actually goes to Joe. Please consider subscribing and ringing the notification bell if you like what you saw here today and would like to see more of it, because I plan on doing a lot more content like this going over the industry and what I think the future of the industry looks like, at least as it pertains to Harley and Harley's direct competitors. Hit the like or the dislike. I don't give a shit. Pick one. Don't be a fence sitter. As always, I am WIGSLY, and you're a thought.